the subtle metabolic changes that can occur instantaneously. Clinical trials using a mock crime scenario correctly detected lying 83% of the time. The next step is to develop even smaller cameras and determine if they are as accurate. Scientists at the Mayo Clinic believe that in time, their lie detector will have many practical applications in the security and law enforcement industry, such as at airports and border checkpoints. In theory, blood should rush to the eye area of liars like mini uncontrollable hot flushes, while the innocent remain coolly and calmly unaffected. The system was first used to examine metabolic rate, but suddenly researchers realized that it was so sensitive it could detect fearfulness. As soon as that was confirmed, they decided to see if it could detect lying as well. Experiments in which 20 people were randomly asked to stab a mannequin, rob it of $20 and then profess their innocence showed the technique to be as effective as any existing polygraph test. The thermal camera correctly identified 90% of the true innocents. While polygraph tests have long been considered too slow and cumbersome to be used for airport security, thermal imaging cameras might be a practical and reliable alternative. New technology has also come to the aid of cystic fibrosis sufferers who've been unable until now to travel far from home. CF patients like Kristen McFall are using a new medical device to fight the deadly disease. She's now able to live by herself and not depend on others for treatment. The airway clearing device is called the vest, and it helps clean the lungs of excess mucus by oscillating the chest wall repeatedly. Melody Green has had 2 double lung transplants, and like most transplant patients, she underwent daily chest physiotherapy to keep her lungs functional, but with the vest, it was no longer necessary. Of all the lungs donated each year, only 12% have actually been usable, but the vest was modified recently to ensure the organs were kept in optimal condition even before transplantation, and that means that more lungs will be available for patients like Melody. And an English company is offering drowsy drivers a quick fix solution to keep them alert and safe on the roads. The British Oxygen Company claims that a blast of oxygen is enough to wake the body. A driver simply pulls over for a moment and with the canister provided sprays some pure oxygen into their lungs. According to AAA, drowsy driving is to blame for 100,000 serious crashes and up to 2,000 deaths every year in the US. Oxygen does provide the body with energy, but no study has shown that it can keep a tired driver alert. Robert Sinclair from the American Automobile Association believes there's no alternative to sleep. It only takes a second or two of what's called microsleep to spin off the road. Despite the warnings, the oxygen canister will soon be on sale at a cost of $5 a can. Five and a half years after becoming the world's first cloned sheep, researchers report that Dolly has developed arthritis, raising fears that the cloning process may have given her a genetic defect. According to Professor Ian Wilmot of Scotland's Roslin Institute, Dolly developed arthritis in her left hind leg at an unusually young age. In 1996, Dolly was cloned from a cell taken from an adult animal. Some scientists speculate that because Dolly was cloned using genetic material from a 6-year-old ewe, her genetic age might be closer to 11. Many animal rights advocates condemn cloning. They believe it's dangerous and unethical, regardless of the methodology. Since Dolly's debut, researchers around the world have cloned several other animals, including cows, and within 2 years hope to produce the world's first allergen-free cats. PPL, the company responsible for creating Dolly, has enjoyed continued success as well. Their cloned piglets represent a major step towards producing animal organs and cells for use in human transplants. The so-called knockout pigs have their alpha-1,3-galactosyl transferase gene inactivated. The gene normally leads the human immune system to reject pig organs within minutes. This vital step should enable animal organs and cells to be transplanted into humans without being rejected by the recipients. Cloning of the animals took place in the lab, following which the fertilized eggs were put back inside the mother pig, who gave birth to 5 healthy piglets. According to the Scottish-based firm, pigs are the preferred species for xenotransplantation, the transfer of cells or organs from one species to another on both scientific and ethical grounds. The world's first knockout pigs have been confirmed through DNA tests to have one of their 2 copies of the gene inactivated. The potential benefit they offer is immeasurable, as countless patients who would have died while waiting for human organs to become available can now be saved. In related news, US President George W. Bush reiterated that human life should not be destroyed for the purpose of embryonic stem cell research, after hearing that scientists in Massachusetts created the first cloned human embryos. The groundbreaking experiment proves that a single cell taken from a human adult can be coaxed into a healthy young embryo. However, the medical advance raises ethical concerns because it requires the creation of human embryos solely for the purpose of destroying them. Researchers at Advanced Cell Technology also cloned several healthy cows, using the same cloning process to create the 6-celled embryos. The scientists say their intention is not to create cloned human beings, but to develop immune-compatible cells to treat degenerative diseases. Although in August, President Bush announced he would allow limited funding for several already existing stem cell lines, some members of Congress warned they will work to prevent further research studies in the US altogether. Slums are a normal part of city life in much of Africa. In Kenya's capital, Nairobi, some 3 million people, nearly 60% of the city, live in the slums. The biggest slum, Kibera, is one of the largest in sub-Saharan Africa, with an estimated population of 700,000. Lack of drainage or any proper sewer system creates numerous sanitation problems. Almost all toilets are pit latrines, not much more than a hole in the ground, used by as many as 10,000 people. While the women do their best to keep the outhouses clean, the waste ends up in the gaping sewers, leaving disease to stalk the local population. Filthy sewer water is then pumped directly into nearby streams, spreading disease to other communities along the river. But the flying doctors from the African Medical and Research Foundation, or AMREF, have come to save the situation through an intensive health campaign aimed at improving the water and sanitation in the slums. A marathon race organised by AMREF, which attracted nearly 200 runners, many armed with toilet brushes, was run through the city streets in the Kenyan capital in aid of collecting money to build good, clean toilets for the slum dwellers. $100,000 was the target that the organisers were aiming for in order to build over 300 toilets. Currently, there's 1 toilet for every 10,000 people, so the additional facilities will come as quite a relief. And although he didn't enter the unusual race, Kenyan marathon runner Paul Tergat and his family were on hand to support this worthy cause. One practice that AMREF hopes to stamp out is an unpleasant phenomenon known as the flying toilets. With so few loos available in these parts, locals have been known to tie up their waste in plastic bags and then hurl the bags as far away as they can. The plastic projectiles invariably end up in rivers or in neighbouring compounds and are a serious health risk. Being hit by a flying toilet isn't much fun either. Race winner 20-year-old John Cutio told the crowd that he too comes from Kibera and will benefit as much as anyone from the day's event. As the campaign to eradicate flying toilets in the slums continues, it's hoped that the slum dwellers will soon be able to do away with the practice completely and enjoy better health and sanitation for themselves and their families. And while we're on the subject, some 200 delegates from Asia, Europe and North America took their seats recently at the World Toilet Summit in Singapore. It's something people use every day, but organisers hope to bring the taboo topic out of the water closet by swapping ideas on design, public education and sanitation. Wash your hands and always flush was the message from a mime troupe that kicked off the event with a graphic but silent demonstration of the good, the bad and the ugly in the bathroom. Singapore is already at the forefront of enforcing toilet etiquette with fines for not flushing and automatic devices that sense when to send the water surging. This woman's urinal from the Netherlands is contact-free. The user simply hovers over it without touching the bowl. Other exhibits included spa baths, basins, drains and bathroom fittings. While luxury items were a feature of the show, delegates were also reminded that according to World Health Organization estimates, 40% of the world's population still don't have access to adequate sanitation, leading to the spread of disease and 2 million deaths a year.